Section YY8 podcast is back after a little bit of a hiatus. Last week, we're back here in the studios, the Section YY8 studios. I'm Negative Nease, joined by Day Vol. He is in his basement. He's having all kinds of audio troubles tonight. Day, what's going on?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm great. So I've been working on trying to get a YouTube channel launched for the podcast, and I think I've about got it ready to go. So hopefully you're watching this live or watching this whenever on YouTube. If you're watching the video, great. If you're listening to us in your car, mowing, running, exercising, Day-Day's wife's on the treadmill right now. Maybe she's listening to an old episode. I don't know. I doubt it.
She's texting me now. Never mind. She yelled.
But hopefully I can get this figured out. Hopefully within the next few days of this release, we'll have another release on. Earlier in this week, I recorded a basketball-specific episode with Vols Basketball Fever podcast, Nathaniel Rutherford. We talked basketball, UT, college basketball for like an hour and a half. So pretty long episode. And I kind of what I was wanting to do was incorporate that into this week's show, but that would be like a 3-hour episode. So that's not going to happen, tour. But we'll break it up and go from there. If you see what I'm wearing tonight, if you're watching this, you can see it. If you're listening, I'll tell you what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a Vols Baseball jersey, replica jersey, that are apparently so hard to get, and a Carter High School Hornets hat. Both teams are ranked number one, Day.
What?
Number one. Carter's ranked number one in the state in AAA as of this week. And I think as of this recording, they actually lost tonight in a game that was spur of the moment scheduled. I got a text at like 12 today saying they were going to Sweetwater to play. So I think they lost. But anyways, number one in the state. Vols are number one in the nation. So I'm riding on two number one teams right now. What's Morristown ranked?
I just have one.
What's Morristown ranked?
Negative 50. I don't think they're doing very well.
They were never doing well when I was up there, so hopefully they can turn it around. But
they're young. They're like super young. A lot of freshmen playing.
Yeah, I think Carter was playing Lakeway Academy, which is also in the Morristown area, and they're struggling too. Yeah. So
a little White Pine-ish.
Hopefully the Hamlin County area can figure that out. We'll see.
I mean, East is good at basketball. They're consistent with that.
That's true. So this week's show, we're probably going to talk a lot about baseball. I mentioned the podcast that I recorded with. Oh, hold on a second. We've got a caller into the show. Let's see who this is. Yeah, you're on the Section YY8 podcast. Go ahead. Oh, we're having some audio trouble here. You're on the Section YY8 podcast. Go ahead.
What do you say, boys? Big Montana here. How's it going?
Big Montana calling in. What's going on, Big Montana?
By God, I got called out today. I said, hey, I got to do a little work tonight, and I ain't going to be able to be on the podcast. And everybody gave me a hard time, and I just had to call in and say what was up. I got a guy out here hollering my name. When I spent more money and spilled liquor from the Wolf's Den in Tucky-Ho to saddlebags and mascot than you made in a year, pal. By God, you're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun. And I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. How about the Vols baseball team, boys? Get fired up.
How about him? Big Montana, I know you're on a short time frame here, tight time frame, but me and Big Montana were at the game Saturday night. We got a late notice. Shout out Blake Dutton for getting us some tickets. He had the hookup. We got there after the ejections, I think we walked in right after Jordan Beck's first home run, but man, what a game Saturday night there at Lindsey Nelson.
Let's go. I tell you what, man, I love it. I love Coach Vitello. He may be my favorite UT sports coach ever, including Fulmer. Dude gets me fired up.
Including Rick Barnes?
Definitely including Rick Barnes.
No, he
I mean,
I don't know, I could have done I could have done without the chest bump that he did on the umpire.
Oh,
It was kind of a flop, but I did like that he got ejected. It sounded like it was planned, and that's fine.
Oh, yes.
He needed to do that.
I love it, man. College sports needs a little bit more WWE. Somebody's got to be the bad guy. Somebody has to turn heel.
So you've obviously listened to Bussin' with the Boys this week. They finally put that out with him on there. You think about it, they are the NWO of the Southeastern Conference right now.
Hey, love it. Hey,
which is
it's
fine.
Gonna run wild.
I mean, the NWO took over there for a while.
They did. Nobody wanted anything to do with them either.
I mean, we might get the title belt and paint a big T on it in black.
I love it. Paint it orange, baby.
Paint it orange. Paint it something. Just paint it.
They're running wild. I tell you what, some people have mixed feelings about the chest bump. Let's be clear. That was a ball sack to ball sack. I'm a bigger man than you are. Ball sack bump.
I don't really think it was even a chest bump. He just got in his space.
He put his cod sack on him and said, "Bow up, old boy. You don't want none."
Did they touch tips?
Oh, it was ball sack to ball sack, buddy. He's all up in his business.
Yeah, it was close.
That little Jeffrey McCunnilingus or whatever his damn name is. What a damn troll. And when I say troll, he's under a bridge troll. What is that guy doing? I saw so many pictures of him where other umpires were talking to the coaches at the damn coin flip or coaches meeting or whatever the hell you want to call it. And he's sitting there mean mugging the crowd. Like, get out of here, dude. He's pissed off because he's 3 inches shorter than Tony is. That's his biggest problem. Little man syndrome.
I called him little, like Trump used to call people little. Liddle. Little Jeffrey, whatever. I don't know what his name was, but
I'm going to go ahead and call a sweep this week on the Florida Gators. They're fired up. It's going to happen. It couldn't happen to a nicer bunch. It's going to be bad. It's going to be a bloodbath in Gainesville.
Yeah, Tennessee is, and we'll get to the standings here in a minute later on after you're gone probably, but Florida's 6-9, 8 games back of the Vols in the East. They're already buried, but Tennessee can throw a little more dirt on them this week.
Oh, just step on their throat, man. Step on their throat.
That's what I'm saying.
Throw dirt on their grave. I love it.
So, Tennessee's bats woke up, and Big Montana and I were there to see it Saturday night at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Raucous atmosphere. The lady that sat behind us was a little weird.
Pigeon Forge outlets.
You were where?
The Pigeon Forge outlets.
Did you find any deals?
Well,
yeah, I got a bunch of stuff. Got me some cool swim trunks with dinosaurs riding a cooler. Dope.
Well,
nice.
You gonna wear those
Hollywood.
to? Are you gonna wear those to Disney again, or what's going on?
I'm wearing them to Hawaii, big boy.
Hawaii.
Big what?
Yeah, I'm wearing them to Hawaii.
It sounds like you're kiss stealing and limousine and jet flying too.
Somebody that's going to Hawaii is still sitting in Z11 with me and you, Big Montana.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Something's going on here I don't know about.
Well, the one that makes all the money isn't back in the
She's on the treadmill.
Heard that.
All right, anything? You got anything else, Big Montana, before you gotta run and keep those greenbacks flowing?
Oh, buddy, commissions rolling in like crazy. Restaurants are buying. COVID's gone. Masks are gone. If you don't like it, learn to love it. You're not just YY8. You're YY8 for life. I love you, boys. Have a great show. I'm going to go in here and put some orders in.
Hey, real quick before you go, I was going to ask Gavin. He's hopefully going to be on before the end of the show, but um, how are you all surviving how are y'all surviving now that the judge in Florida rescinded the federal mask mandate? I mean, how many people have we killed across this country with that being gone?
I mean, I'm having a hard time. When I walk into a public building, I just hold my breath. And, the bank was a little bit long today, and I had to take 3 breaths inside a public place.
Oh, dear.
But I don't know. I mean, I may have killed off several grandparents this week by, just raw dogging the air here.
You're killing Granny.
Well, it is what it is. She had a long run.
Well, hopefully she's vaccinated because that works so well.
Yeah, and boosted. There you go. Hey, guys, have a good one. I'm out here.
Thanks for joining us. Big Montana. He is, I don't know if he's gone yet or not, but
I'm gone. So
Get him out of here.
He's gone. Now it's just me and Dave. Big Montana coming in. He texted us earlier today. He's got a big meeting tomorrow. We're recording this on Thursday night, April 21st. Big meeting for Big Montana tomorrow. So send him out some prayers, good vibes. He's got a big meeting tomorrow. I text everybody and I said, Big Montana's got to learn not to schedule meetings on Mondays and Fridays. Schedule them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Or if you schedule them Monday, schedule them later in the day. So that's not the first thing you want to do on Monday. Or if you schedule a meeting Friday, I guess schedule it Friday morning. But
always Wednesday for me.
Friday afternoon meetings are a no-no in my book. That's when I do. Terrible. That's when I do park inspections. So
you're trying to go home. That won't be.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's good that the mask mandate is rescinded if you're going to Hawaii here in the near future. Hopefully they don't put that back in place. But
you got to remember, I live with a doctor. So
that's true.
There's two sides to it.
I got it. Yeah, I got you.
We were going without them anyway. That we were hoping that they were going to be gone. So, and all the stuff, all the restrictions were gone.
Yeah.
And we traveled a lot.
My mom and dad were mad. I
work in public school. So
they traveled to Chicago last week to babysit my nephew for a week. And my mom was like, why couldn't they have rescinded that last week? But it really bothers her wearing that.
Yeah.
I mean, they were there and, flying layovers, all that stuff, 5-6 hours. So glad that's gone.
Like, I was like, they're done. I don't want to get on a tangent on these, but and then of course the wise woman she's like, yeah, but an airplane is a little bit different because it's just recycling that air.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anywhere to go like an airport. Like sitting there in the airport, you're fine. But again, I think we're progressing to, I don't know, going away. I don't think it ever goes away.
No.
I mean, it's here,
COVID.
But it's at a much weaker point than it's ever been.
COVID's never going away.
Been through it like twice, probably.
Yeah.
Once for sure.
COVID's never going away, the China virus, but, it's something, for people our age, it's more than likely not going to bother us. We might be sick for 2 or 3 days and then we'll bounce back. There's some people that it bothers, just like the flu, just like any other respiratory illness that's going around. And I just, this has been so over politicized. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's been political, and me don't like politics. So it's just frustrating in that front.
So let's go away from that. No more China virus, no more politics. Tennessee baseball, still number 1 in the country, even after a couple losses last week. So I got to go to my first Tennessee game in a couple years. I think I was telling Big Montana last week when we were on our way to the stadium last weekend, which was last minute. I got a call at 5:30. I was actually taking a nap on the couch watching golf Saturday afternoon, and my phone rang. Guy I know calls me and says, hey, I got 2 tickets. They're yours if you want them. I said, I'll take them. Let me call Big Montana. He's supposed to be over here at 6. He wasn't answering the phone. And I knew what was going on. He was asleep too. And he was. And he called me at 5:45 and said, what's up? I told him. He said, I'll be there shortly. And he got here about 6 o'clock. So we got down there about 15-20 after.
You're a touch late, yeah.
So just missed the first couple, about inning and a half. So But went to the Tennessee Tech game at Smoky Stadium last week, Tuesday. Vols first loss in 23 games, lost 3-2 to Tennessee Tech. Just could not get the bats going. It was a wood bat game. Both teams agreed to use a wood bat. I didn't think that it was as big of a deal as a lot of people let on, because a lot of those kids,
So many people
in college and high school, when they play summer league, they're wood
using
bat
wood
leagues
bats all the time. Yeah, they're wood batting all the time.
And there's really not a whole lot of, I mean, there is a little difference, but with these BB core bats, they're not as hot as those aluminum bats in the 90s. You used to watch Omaha and that ding they would make. You don't hear that anymore. But
no, it's more
BB
of a
core bats
noise.
Right. The BB core bats almost mimic a wood bat. I mean, they're a little more hot, but I didn't think.
Well, they don't have any dead spots.
Right.
Well, you can get a homer almost on the handle. You're not doing that with a wood bat.
I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. Plus, we didn't put the ball in play a whole lot. So
we swung it.
Blame it
garbage.
On that.
Struck
out a
pitches.
Bunch. Trying to look it up here.
Credit to that pitcher. I mean, he didn't throw many strikes, but when he did, it was when he got you to swing at garbage, and then he followed it up with a strike, and then you're looking at that one.
Yeah, Tennessee struck out 13 times
against
Tennessee Tech. I mean, that's
got to be a season high.
They had 4 hits, 2 runs, 13 strikeouts, left 9 on base, and they had seven walks. So I mean, they didn't even come close to splitting with the strikeouts. So this is one of those games. A lot of teams lose midweek games. I don't put a whole lot of stock into it. It just stunk because there was 8,183 people there, a Smoky Stadium record. It was like a smaller scale Battle of Bristol. You were at Battle of Bristol. Remember how awful it was to get in?
It was terrible.
It was like that.
I'm just glad I had a place to stay for that thing. Like it was walking distance. So, and it still was a 45-minute process.
I mean, getting into the parking lot, we got there 5 till 6. So 5:55. Game was 6:30 first pitch. And they had already stopped taking money at the gate. If you've ever been to Smoky Stadium, they take parking money on the third base side and right at the home plate side. They had already stopped, and they were just park. And they ended up busing people from down the road.
They made all their money.
I mean, seriously,
that's crazy.
And they still, I know a person that it took 50 minutes to get from the fireworks store on the other side of the interstate to the stadium, which is literally like a minute away.
Jeez.
50 minutes.
That's nuts.
I think she got to the stadium in like the 4th or 5th inning, but she couldn't turn around. She was stuck in traffic. But Tennessee loses that game 3-2. They lost to Alabama on a Friday night. I believe that was 6-3. Yeah, 6-3.
Sound right?
Yeah, 6-3 Friday night.
I'm not saying Bama didn't beat us. I think they beat us, but that's another game where kind of beat yourself. Left too many on base. Some subpar pitching at times. Not the whole game, just crucial points.
Struck out.
We lost.
Struck out 8 times. I mean, that's a lot of strikeouts.
Had some questionable behind the plate calls. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's kind of what.
It's not a secret.
You know, we were talking about the umpire and Vitello and Frank Anderson getting into it. It really started on Friday night because his strike zone was questionable. He called it kind of both ways, but it was a weird strike zone.
It was poor.
But Tennessee, like Big Montana and I said, bounced back Saturday night, 9-2, bounced back Sunday in a big way, 15-4.
Oh, man.
What a bloodbath.
They drug them. Yeah, no, on Saturday, we decided to go to Dollywood. We did Dollywood stuff. We're like, we'll stop at the outlets. And we ate and did the outlets. And I pulled up the game, and I didn't have any sound. Signal was kind of iffy. And we went in the store, come back out, and I look, and I'm like, I don't remember who was pitching. Was it Sewell? Sewell took over?
Yes.
Like, why is this guy pitching? It's like something happened, but they didn't score any runs. So it wasn't because he's pitching bad. And, of course, you can't rewind the ESPN app. So I had to
No.
wait till Bob mentioned it, like in 2 more innings. What went down? They finally showed a replay. I'm like, what in the world?
I don't remember which game it was. I think it was
He's
Friday
terrible.
night. Bob, there was 2 outs, runners on first and second, ground ball, and he said, "Well, here's a double play ball." There was 2 outs. And he said, "Oh wait, there's 2 outs." And he literally just said there was 2 outs.
No, you're not on camera. She's done.
She can be on camera.
She doesn't want to be. On Sunday, so we did Easter dinner, went to Bass Pro Shop for a quick Easter Bunny photo, and I'm looking at it on my phone. In the ground rule double, I clearly could see on my tiny little phone, like the small iPhone, could see that it was ground rule double, and he got it a grand slam. I'm like, what we doing, man? What we doing?
I don't know.
This is
Was
the
he
best we got.
there? Were they there in person? I think they were, him and Todd
I think
Helton.
so, yeah. Yeah, they definitely were.
Yeah, I can understand that if he was doing it on TV, but
It's bad.
I mean, I was watching a game earlier tonight before we started recording. It was LSU and Missouri at LSU, and you could tell they weren't there. They were just calling what they saw on TV.
Doing the remote, yeah. I'm pretty sure they were both there, and they were both not very good.
Todd, you could tell he was out of his element because Bob would ask him a question, and he'd just say, "Yeah, that wasn't a good swing," or "Yeah, you can't do that." He just.
And then it's everything. It's we played poor competition. That's why our numbers are inflated. I'm like, we're doing this to the SEC teams too. Yeah, but you're like 3rd in this stat now, and blah blah. I'm like, what? What's going through your mind to say this stuff? You want to be that unbiased? I don't get it. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah,
you wear orange.
I
mean,
can
be positive.
The other games you watch, they're homerish. I mean, it's okay.
It's okay. You're calling it on the SEC network that's not even live, or what do we want to call it? Nationally televised. It's just an app. Be a homer.
So Tennessee won 2 out of 3 against Alabama. They beat Bellarmine. Is that how you say this school?
I have no idea.
I've heard of them, but I don't
never
know
heard of them until
anything
that night.
about them.
Somewhere in Kentucky.
I did no research on this before we started recording, but
casually watched the game. Oh my goodness!
As I knocked my microphone over, Bellarmine, Tennessee beat them 9-3 Tuesday nights. And now they've got Florida coming up. I did want to mention, you talked about Camden Sewell. I talked to his dad today, and we worked together on some things. And I said, "What do you think about Camden coming in that early in the game? I thought he pitched pretty well." He said, "Yeah." He said, "But I was running late, and I walked into Lindsey Nelson, and he was on the mound, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why is Camden out there?" He had no idea. He wasn't listening to the radio.
So he didn't know either.
Yeah, he had no clue why his son was throwing, but he's like, "Man, Camden pitched his butt off." That's a tough spot.
So good. And he got hurt early.
Yeah.
And he gave up that 1 run, and it was more just fatigue than anything.
Yeah, he gave up, I think it was that 2-run homer that got about 10 feet off the ground.
And they let him throw 1 too many pitches. But as a confident pitcher, he's like, "Nah, I got this."
They came out and talked. It was funny. They came out and talked to him. He gave up a hit. They came out and talked to him. Literally, like 1 or 2 pitches later, ball's out. And but yeah, that's a tough spot for a reliever to come in and that early in the game. They're not expecting to do that, but
no way. But he does have the experience. He pitched a lot, and what was it, the SEC tourney last year? He had to go a good amount of innings down there, and he did well. So you can't rely on that every time, but I think he can do it.
Tennessee, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It may have been Camden's dad. Tennessee's pitching doesn't get talked about enough. They are probably one of the best, if not the best in the country, pitching staffs right now. I know their offense is what gets talked about, and rightfully so, but this pitching staff right now is just, they're locking down everybody.
Yeah. And what's crazy is they have 2 guys that are just trying to get in the rotation.
Yeah.
that are really, really good.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
you didn't want Dollander to get hurt, but it's like, man, you have Tidwell coming in.
you got an
like,
All-American coming in.
Are you having a drop off? I don't know. I mean, he hadn't pitched enough this year for us to know, but we know what he can do.
I'd like to see them, and they know better than I do. I'd like to see them get Tidwell a little more work. He's just throwing like an inning at a time right now.
Yeah.
And I know they're trying to build him up. I know he's throwing more during the week than what we see on TV, but I just feel like, as we go along here, they're going to have to start, do
they're going to have
3 innings. Yeah.
I mean, because when we get in tournament play, you're going to have to – there's going to be times where you got to throw 5 pitchers in that week span.
Yeah.
What's cool is we have that. We didn't have it last year.
I mean, right now we've got 4 legit starters, and then you've got a pretty stacked bullpen right now with a couple guys in that bullpen that can go multiple innings. So that's what sets Tennessee apart right now from a lot of other teams is their starting pitching, their bullpen. I mean, a lot of teams have explosive offenses, and Tennessee has that, but they don't have the pitching staff that Tennessee has.
Not to go with it. Because Missouri, they had a really good offense. They just had a really terrible bullpen. Like, they could hang around for 3 or 4 innings, and then their bullpen come in. It's just, whoa.
So
Bama seemed to be the same way.
Yeah. I mean,
2 and 3.
Bama could hit. They just didn't have the pitching that Tennessee has. I mean, you could see it out there. And their catcher, good grief, on Saturday night, somebody said Tennessee knows now not to steal left field on that guy. He threw 3 balls into left field, and one of them,
it's hilarious.
One of them was a dang airmail. I did feel a little bit sorry for that dude because he was getting beat up behind the plate.
Bammer.
It is Bammer.
Who cares?
But he was having to work his butt off behind the plate. He blocking pitches. I mean, they were just pounding the ball into the dirt and or the turf.
He got pulled the next day.
But he, I mean. That dude, I mean, it had to be 15, 20 feet over the third baseman's head.
That one, yeah, he sailed that thing so high.
I mean, it wasn't even close.
It's like I could have done that one.
So Tennessee's at Florida this weekend. Looking at the SEC standings, I mentioned a minute ago, Florida is 6-9, nice, in the SEC East. 23-14 overall. It says here they've won 2 in a row. Tennessee's 14-1, 34-3 overall. So Florida's 8 games back in the East of Tennessee. Tennessee's 5 games clear of Georgia right now. They're 9-6, 26-11 overall. I mean, it's not the East isn't over yet.
No, not even close. Yeah, you got a lot.
We're just a little over halfway through. I mean, Tennessee's got 3 against Florida, 3 against Auburn, so that's 6. 3 against Kentucky. That's 9. We got Bellarmine again, it says on here.
Yeah, I saw that.
May 10th. Then we got 3 against Georgia, so that's 12. 3 against Mississippi State. So we got 15 games left. So obviously, mathematically, it's not over. But Tennessee, with a couple more series, can really put the nail in the coffin.
If they win 10,
yeah,
I mean, which is very doable because Kentucky's not that great. I don't know about. I mean, Florida's not bad. I think they should win 2-3.
No, I mean,
but losing their starting pitcher, you should be able to sweep.
So here's who we've got left. We're a little over halfway through. You've got Florida, who's 6-9. Tennessee's still got Kentucky left. They're 5-10 entering this weekend. We've still got Mississippi State left. They're 6-9. We've still got Auburn left, who's been a little bit of a surprise this year. They're 8-7. They're ranked. I'm looking forward to that series.
Is that a home one?
That is in Knoxville.
Yeah, okay.
I was hoping it was in Auburn because I was going to go down there because it might have been one of the only times to get into the stadium without paying an arm and a leg. And I'm trying to think who else we got that I've left off here. No, that's it. So
Florida, Auburn, Georgia.
The only teams we've got left in the conference that are entering this weekend, which is the weekend of April 23rd, April 22nd, 23rd, 24th, with a winning record, is Auburn. I mean, they are the only team in the with the SEC with a winning record. And Tennessee's got Kentucky at 5-10, Florida at 6-9, Well, I'm sorry. Georgia's 9-6. I apologize. They've still got Georgia.
Georgia's
left.
been playing pretty good too.
Yeah, Georgia's
But
good,
they're another
better
team.
this year.
Hot bats, iffy pitching.
I think it's funny. I'm looking here. Remember a few weeks ago when we played Ole Miss and they were number 1 in the country?
They are terrible.
5-10 in the SEC, 21-15 overall.
They might not even make it to the NCAAs.
Yeah, I was reading earlier bracketology, which I hope Lenardi's not in charge of because he would have Tennessee as the 3 seed. But they don't have Ole Miss in the field of 64 right now.
Yeah, it's like weekday games or midweek games, whatever you want to call them, don't matter. But the one they lost really mattered.
Yeah. I tell you, there's a team, and I need to pull up the rankings. Southern Miss, they're not an SEC team.
Yeah.
That is a team you need to watch out for. They're always pretty good. But I noticed the other day they were in the top 20. I'm trying to pull.
They were ranked. I remember
Yeah,
that.
they're ranked. But they made some noise a few years ago. And they are ranked 6th right now. I didn't know they were that high. They're 27-8.
I didn't know it was that high.
This is according to D1Baseball.com. Tennessee's number 1, obviously.
Yeah, there they are.
Oregon State 2, Oklahoma State 3, Arkansas 4, Miami 5, Southern Miss 6, Stanford 7, Virginia Tech 8, Texas Tech 9, Texas 10. So Tennessee lost to Texas earlier in the year. One of their only 3 losses. We do not play Arkansas. Hopefully we meet up with them in the SEC tournament.
Oh man, they're sure obsessed with this stuff. I mean, players, fans, everything. Good gracious.
One of their players, if you don't know what Day-Day's talking about, one of their players, after I think it was the Saturday night game, they were asking him about Arkansas's playing really well right now. They got a little win streak going, and he said, "Yeah, well, hopefully we can keep this up." And I'm paraphrasing here. Hopefully we can keep this up, get to the SEC tournament and face that number 1 team from the East. Would not say Tennessee's name.
But we are in their headspace.
They're mad.
Ultra
Why?
mad.
I don't know. I don't know what it is with them and us in baseball. But it's everybody right now. Vitello,
we're hated. We're so hated.
I was listening to Vitello's.
I get it. I would hate if I wasn't a Tennessee fan. I would hate this Tennessee team.
Yeah, they're like.
But I am a Tennessee fan, so I absolutely love this Tennessee team.
They're like Blake Dutton, who got me the tickets. You don't know him, but some that listen to this show might. If he's not on your team, you hate him. If he's on your team, you love him. He's one of those guys. He's like a Marshall Henderson type.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Tennessee is right now. And Vitello I was listening to his press conference at lunch today, and he pretty much said, he's like, look, he's going to miss. He's suspended 4 games for the ejection and bumping the umpire the other night. So he missed Tuesday's game. He's going to miss the Friday, Saturday game. But he said he's just ready to get back to baseball and stop with all the politics, because the last 3 series, you were at Vanderbilt, they were the sticker on the bat. Come back home against, let's see, where were we at after that?
Missouri? It was Missouri?
Yes, the Missouri series. What something went on there?
They were accusing him of stuff. I mean, that's his former home too.
I mean, there was some stuff there, and then this past weekend, you had the umpire issue. All that was going on. So he's just
and their head coach stealing signs. I mean, like he said, they should cover their signs better. That's on them. But really, I mean,
yeah,
insecure. You got to steal some signs.
Everybody does that though. So I mean, and he's right. He said they got to do it better.
Not as obvious as that guy was doing it.
No,
he would move down the third baseline to see the ball and then signal it in. I'm like, wow, okay, whatever you got to do.
It was a little more aggressive than the Straw Plains Yellow Jackets were in the EBL.
That's a little more aggressive than a guy on second base looking at the catcher and relaying it back to his batter.
We just stole signs because the catcher spread his legs so wide. We saw what he was calling and just we had a system.
I mean, shame on you.
Shame on him.
If you're giving shame on him if he's giving it up that easy. But I mean, that dude was working to get the signs, and he was the head coach at that.
Yeah, no kidding. So
you do you, I guess.
Yeah, you do you. Well, Tennessee baseball this weekend. We'll see how that goes. Big series. Hopefully, you got to at least go into these series mindset. We got to take 2 out of 3. Big Montana
definitely.
saying we're going to sweep, I think, but 2 out of 3 from here on out is fantastic.
Right. I don't want to call for this. I'm not confident in calling for the sweep because even Vitello alluded to it. He's like, at home, yes, I'm not there, but I'm live. Like I can get the guys to give me the live feed. In Florida, he's going to have to watch on the ESPN app. He's a minute, 2 minutes behind whatever's going on. So if there is any real communication, I don't know the rules on that. Like, do they call each other, FaceTime each other? I don't know. To talk about what's going on. He's 2 minutes behind at all times.
Yeah. It looks like every game is on SEC Network Plus this weekend. Friday night, 6:30 start, Saturday, 6:30, Sunday, 12 o'clock. So I'm looking next weekend against Auburn and Knoxville, Friday night, Saturday night, both games, SEC Network, and then Sundays on Plus. One game against Kentucky's on the network, no Plus. And then the Georgia series, you've got one game on ESPNU, one game SEC Network, and then one game on Plus. So,
okay.
At least
we don't have people get really upset about this, like how they do the TV stuff. But in baseball, it's totally different than like your football and basketball.
Thinking basketball, they
set it way different. You don't play 3 games in a row.
Right. You've got a game on Tuesday night at 7, a game on Tuesday night at 9. Sometimes you've got multiple games going on at the same time, but they've got ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SEC Network. Unless it's a early season non-conference game, those games are on TV somewhere. They're not on Plus. Yep. So that's different because they've got all of these series on Friday night are played at 6:30, 7 o'clock. And there's 5-6 series going on at the same time. So
they give everybody their time.
Yeah. I mean, they have no choice to put those on. And I tweeted about that. Like, I don't understand why people cry about it so much. Just log into the app. You have it on your cable.
I'm just happy that I have access to it. 3 years ago, we wouldn't even been able to see it.
Right. I mean,
well, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's I was talking to somebody not long ago. I mean, even in high school sports now, they have apps, which I was watching Carter High School play at Sweetwater tonight on my phone. Now it's an wild iPad set up there and you just see behind the plate, but it's crazy that you can watch all of these sporting events live without having to travel. If you're sick, you can watch the game. If you don't want to drive to Sweetwater or wherever Morristown may be.
You want to go to Dollywood with your family, you can still watch the game.
And you can keep, if you're not watching it, you can keep up with it on this thing. So it's
a cool time to live in.
I know Gavin and I have talked on here before that baseball does sometimes, even at all levels, a bad job of marketing themselves. But you think 10, 20 years ago, there was no college baseball on TV. I mean, well, I shouldn't say 10 years ago. 20 years ago, there was not much college baseball at all. Just random games on the weekends. I mean, you go back to the 90s when I was growing up and when you were growing up, probably a little bit later than me, but there was no college baseball on until it got to the tournament, till SEC tournament.
That was all you got.
And even the NCAA tournament, you saw random games. And then, of course, College World Series was on ESPN, CBS back in the 90s. And I think it's been on ESPN for years now. But that was really that's where you watch college baseball. There wasn't much exposure. Now you can watch a college baseball game anytime you want or from whatever team you want to watch. I mean, it's still not perfect, but it's way better.
We got to get a better production value for Tennessee. I've tweeted about it a couple of times. It's just like somebody was saying something about, it's SEC Plus. And I'm like, yeah, but Florida's going to have a little better setup than what we got going. Now, announcing may be biased and everything, but you're going to get better camera angles. You're going to get all this other stuff. We have a really
Yeah,
bad production.
it's like I said,
Really
I was watching the Missouri LSU game, and it was about the same as kind of what we've seen with Tennessee the last couple weeks with some of the production value. I mean, it was, they're not even the game at Smoky Stadium the other night. I went back and watched a little of it just to see what it looked like. There was very few wide angle shots of the stadium. It was like pitcher, batter, guy on the base, somebody in the dugout, and they did very little production value. It was like, here's the game. Like, you couldn't see the
press
stadium.
this button.
Yeah, I mean, that's all they did. But that's better than, I mean, my mom and dad watched it in Chicago. I mean,
yeah, it's definitely better than nothing.
Moving on from baseball, I was looking at some football stuff online. I know we're a little bit of ways away, but BetSmart US, I follow them on Twitter at BetSmart US. I think the guy's a local East Tennessee guy, but he put out Vol football betting odds for the 2022 season. It was a Monte Carlo simulation win total probability. And he also had the over-unders. Yeah, sorry, the over-unders and the point spread for each game. So I'll start with the win totals. He has, or this simulation had Tennessee with 12 wins, which would be an undefeated season at 0.6%, so less than 1%. 11 wins at 2.8%. 10 wins at 7.3%. Now, here's where it jumps up. 9 wins, 13.1%. 8 wins, 18%. 7 wins, 19.2%. 6 wins, 16.5%. 5 wins, 11.7%. So you can see that range. And if you're watching this, I'm looking at another screen, but from 5 wins to 9 wins, it's double-digit percentage chance to get those. Then you go down to 4 wins is 6.7%, 3 wins 2.9, 2 wins is 0.9, and 1 win is 0.2%. So if Tennessee wins 1, 2, or 3 games, there is something bad wrong, because
we got culture issue again.
There's like 4 automatic wins on there.
Yeah, Vandy. I think Mizzou's an auto.
Maybe 5.
UT Martin. Akron, Ball State. I think those are autos.
Yeah,
just looking at the schedule real fast.
So the automatic wins, according to their point spreads, is Ball State Tennessee's minus 18, Vanderbilt Tennessee's minus 17, UT Martin Tennessee's minus 28, and Akron Tennessee's minus 26. That's the 4 auto wins, I would say. Then you've got Missouri Tennessee's minus 7 against Missouri, which that's here in Knoxville. Tennessee is minus 4 against Florida. That's here in Knoxville. Tennessee is minus 3 at Pittsburgh. And you're thinking Pitt's getting probably 2 or 3 points being at home, so that might be a little bit wider than that. But
yeah, it might be a touchdown.
And we'll talk about Pitt a little later on here in the offseason, but they might be a little bit better with some additions they've made than we originally thought, but that's topic for another time. But they're favored by 3 there. This one surprised me just a little bit. They had Tennessee minus 2 at South Carolina.
Doesn't surprise me.
I mean, I
remember what you did to them, man.
Yeah.
You embarrassed them.
No, we did.
That lingers.
So Tennessee,
I get it. It's at South Carolina, but you still embarrassed them.
Big time. That was one of the, I wish I was there. I had to do my cousin's wedding that day. So
it goes back to being able to watch on your phone. I was at Disney World.
Yeah. I mean, we watched it on, the church didn't have cable or satellite or anything, but we streamed it and watched it while we were getting ready and eating lunch that day. I'd seen this flip-flopped around this game. Tennessee at LSU. They have LSU minus 3.
I don't know if that's fair.
Brian Kelly effect, because I saw earlier where
that's a scary game, and it's in a scary spot.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's after Florida. It's
Before
on the
Bama.
road in Death Valley. It's probably going to be a night game. I'm going to be there, so that's probably why LSU's favored. Just that's the negative Nease effect. I'm surprised that we're favored in the Pitt game because I'm going to that one, and so we're favored in 2 road games that I'm going to, and we're underdogs in the LSU game. So Georgia's -16, not a surprise. Alabama
was 17, I think.
Alabama, they had them at
Or 14,
-14.
Yeah.
And then I left this one out. I wish Gavin was here. He doesn't look like he's going to make it for this week's show, but Tennessee's -3 hosting Kentucky. So according to if you just went by them being favored, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wins on this schedule. And we've talked about that on here before, that this is a 7 to 9 win schedule probably, and it could be anywhere. It could be 8. I think it's more than likely probably going to be 7. It's just hard to tell this far out.
I think 7.
I mean,
I don't know.
Tennessee's got. They're going to win those 4 I mentioned. I think they're going to beat South Carolina. I think they're going to beat Kentucky. So that's 6. I really think, I hope to God and I pray to God that they take advantage of Florida possibly being down this year. They need to be. I know this is still kind of a rebuilding year for Tennessee. They need to beat Florida at home this year.
They need to.
They've got to. I mean, Alabama would be nice. If
you're
not
looking
happen
at
yet.
Our start of our schedule, Ball State, you go to Pittsburgh, which I know you said they've added some players, but they lost a lot. A lot of defense, a lot of offense. And so they're going to be young when we get to actually bring in an experienced offense minus, Bayless. I mean, that's really the big worry for me. It's like, how do you replace that guy? He was really good. But then you get Akron. And then Florida, on the flip side, they have Utah, Kentucky, and I think they have a cupcake in there. They could be broken before they even get to us.
Yeah.
That's my hope, at least.
Yeah. I mean,
because if he loses them early, I mean, we've seen how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the 4 wins there. I said South Carolina, Missouri, I think are wins. That's 6. I think we beat Kentucky. That's 7. And I think we beat Florida. That's 8. LSU, Georgia, Bama. LSU's kind of a toss-up. Pitt could be a toss-up too. We could win both of those games. We could also
definitely
lose
have
both of them.
Way better shot at Pitt. LSU,
yes.
I just don't feel good about that one.
It's going to be tough. I promise you that. I was down there last year, and that place wasn't full, and it was so hard. It's so tough of a place to play, and that's what – I mean, Auburn went down there and won that game.
That's true. I mean, but you got a different coach. Let's see how he handles the SEC. I want to look at their schedule. I don't know what they've got before us, because a lot of it, man, is who do you play before?
I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, it's not like he came in the cupboard. We were talking about
we
Brian
got a
Kelly.
week.
I mean,
a lot left, but he brought in a ton.
The cupboard's not bare in LSU, and he brought in a ton, but it's first year. You just don't know how these aren't your guys. You don't know how they're gonna react.
So they got Florida State, Mississippi State, Auburn, Southern U, whoever that is, New Mexico, and then us. So we both come off a bye week to play each other.
Yeah, I mean it's
okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and we're going to have more talk as the spring and summer goes along. But I thought that was interesting. I saw BetSmart put those out today, and I might try to have him on at some point later on this summer to talk more, not just about UT but college football. But start following that account last year. They're pretty spot on to a lot of betting odds games. I mean, if you just look at the numbers. I know Tennessee wasn't in ESPN's FPI top 25, which was
hallelujah to me.
Yeah,
because every time we're trash.
It was surprising. They had Pitt.
I know what they had in there. Hey, I'm fine with that. Trust me. Every time we've been in there, and then people are like, "Oh, Tennessee's overrated." I'm like, it's because ESPN puts them in this stupid poll. It doesn't even matter.
That thing was pretty accurate in basketball, though. I don't know if you follow that.
Way different sport, though.
Yeah,
way different.
It is way different. But that thing is the win percentages that they put up and the factors. I mean, it's like almost spot on. I mean, there was a game,
a preseason FBI.
There was a game this year. I think it was the Kentucky basketball game when Tennessee played them. Maybe it wasn't that game. There was a game. It was the Auburn game. I'm sorry. We played Auburn here, and they had Tennessee as like a 74% favorite to win that game. And a lot of people were picking Auburn. I mean, it was spot on. I mean, it was absolutely, the line was spot on. So I don't know. Yeah, football's a little bit different. So we'll see how all that works out. But it is April.
I've never. Yeah, we got a long ways to go. Now we got to get a few transfer portal guys. We got to have some defense. I mean, you just can't go through another SEC season with that type of defense. No offense to them, but we got to get better on third down, period. Overall, they weren't terrible. Third down, they were atrocious.
And they need to turn the ball over more. Not on offense.
Yeah,
they need to turnovers.
They need to create some turnovers. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and one of the guys that was really good at that is no longer on the team. So somebody's got to step up.
Yeah, we'll see. I'd like to get Troy Fleming back on at some point to kind of preview, what Tennessee should be looking for. But we'll talk about the roster moving forward. But yeah, they got some holes still to fill. Spring practice, I think, is over now. I think.
I mean, you'll see some guys. I'm curious. Do they want the kid from UCF?
Who is that?
He got good numbers and he's fast. I don't know his name, but I mean, he was a 1,000-yard receiver under Heupel. So
interesting. Yeah, I'll need to look into that. I haven't.
And everybody's like, "Oh, well, it's different." I mean, he knows the playbook. There's not going to be a lot of transitioning for him.
Yeah. They got a big commitment the other day from an in-state defensive lineman, Elijah Herring. Is that his name?
I think it's
number one player in the state.
Right. Yeah. Heupel can't recruit.
Yeah, class of 23. Heupel can't recruit. I'm sure, I haven't looked. SEC picks or Vols picks, PIX, whatever that account is.
Whatever he is now.
They were feverishly looking for an excuse as to why that kid chose Tennessee over somewhere else. It was nothing with Heupel. It had to do with, he didn't want to go there, or they didn't recruit him hard enough, and he just settled for Tennessee. Like he just fell into Heupel's lap. That guy is always I don't know if he's just trolling, what the deal is.
He's got to be trolling. There's no way. If he is that way, then he's got to be very miserable.
And I've said it on here before. I've asked multiple times if that guy would want to come on, and I wasn't going to make fun of him. I was just going to why do you think this way? Why do you go on with this? And he would not come on. He's refused multiple times. He says he's too busy. He's got enough time to tweet.
Yeah, he tweets.
He says he works 12-hour shifts. So
12-hour shifts of obsessing over Heupel?
And drooling over Jeremy Pruitt.
Sheesh.
Good grief. Okay. I can't imagine. We're not going to talk much about basketball at all on here. Because I recorded, like I said earlier in the show, I recorded a basketball specific podcast with Nathaniel Rutherford from Vols Baseball Fever. So we get in depth on Tennessee's season, what they got to look forward to, what the SEC is going to look like. We talked about Tennessee's possible schedule next year, what it may look like. We even talked about where Tennessee should go play non-conference games. So we talked about all that, but after we recorded, it came out Oscar Sheboy's coming back to Kentucky. So that's a big keep for them. I'm guessing that guy did not get the feedback he
got
was
a second-round grade, which isn't surprising.
That's not surprising
for his position. Great rebounder, can't score though.
He has no offensive. He has very little offensive game, and what I mean by that is
he's grand.
He can't shoot. Yeah, he can't. He has very few post moves in his arsenal. He can't put the ball on the floor. Really, he's basically an offensive rebounder. Put the ball back up or get dunks. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exposed him. Length hurts him so much.
Yeah. So
that's a freshman that came in 3 games in basically.
Yeah.
And his length just gave him so much trouble.
I
which,
knew
I'm fine with it.
when I saw that the other night that he was coming back, I was like, he did not get the grade he was wanting. And I mean, that's a big keep for Kentucky. He's a good player.
They're going to be good because of it.
National Player of the Year, SEC Player of the Year. I mean, he's good, but it's like I didn't think Grant Williams was probably when he came back after his sophomore year. I didn't think he was ready to go. Did I imagine that he would get to where he's at right now? I think
where he had a perfect game.
Yeah. I mean, he had a perfect game the other night. I don't think we imagined that. I thought he might play a little bit in the pros, but he's been a productive player.
I mean, honestly, I thought he would have been out by now.
Yeah. Or at least playing in the G League.
He works harder than anybody. The dude's shooting ridiculous stats from three. And it's not the college three. It's the NBA three ball. And he's worked. Nobody outworks him.
Yeah.
That's what makes him good.
Remember, he hit a huge three against Kentucky in the SEC semifinals that year. And I remember when he shot it, I was like, what is he doing? Because he rarely shot from the outside. He was the anti-Brandon Huntley Hatfield, who I don't know what your thoughts are on that guy. We Nathaniel Rutherford and I talked quite a bit about him, but what's your thoughts on that? I mean, Grant Williams was totally opposite. He, wanted to work inside where this guy left because he didn't want to put his back to the basket.
Yeah, he wants to be a three guy. You can barely dribble. I mean, I don't want to say barely dribble. He could dribble, but he's not a three. He just isn't a three. But I did not know that he went to 4 different high schools. Then you have your college school. That's 5. You're going to go to your 6th. You're never going to be happy. Whether he's getting bad info, I don't know. I don't know the kid, so I don't want to say he's getting bad information from people around him, whatever. I know people are freaking out and like, it's a huge loss. Look at his numbers. It's not a huge loss. He filled in for when he went down. I think he had a few plays here and there, but he never really played second half of any game. We got exposed because he couldn't play defense in the Michigan game.
It's a tough loss because I think of that potential of what he could be.
The potential was there, but it was never shown. He hit 1 3 that helped us against Auburn. But other than that, I mean, you can get that offense from somewhere else.
Yeah.
3 points a game. You can get that from a transfer, whatever. Now, replacing Chandler, that's your problem.
That's different.
That's a problem.
I mean, guys tend to –
Yuri Collins is going to come in and throw some assists.
Nathaniel Rutherford and I talked about this. The guys Tennessee's losing are all replaceable except Kennedy Chandler. You've lost Kennedy Chandler, who's going to the draft. You've lost Quentin DeBonge. He finally told me how to say that guy's name. You lost Brandon Huntley Hatfield, Victor Bailey Jr. John Fulkerson's gone due to graduation. So 4 out of those 5 that have left, and Tamba, so that's 5 out of the 6 that have left, are all replaceable. That, I mean, Tamba never played. DeBonge never played. Victor Bailey Jr. had his moments, but he rarely contributed. Fulkerson was a big contributor, but he's replaceable. And Chandler's going to be tough. And Huntley Hatfield it's not like the cupboard's bare. We've still got Kamwa and Jonas Adu in there. And then you've got Meshack behind them that if he can get any type of offense, he can score 2 or 3 points a game.
Phenomenal. His defense is out of this world. And that was a freshman out there. Just causing havoc, getting rebounds. I mean, the little things. And once he knows what's going on now. So it's a whole different ball game. But yeah, I mean, you're going to bring in transfers. Don't have to panic. You're already I'm telling you, you replace Chandler with Collins. You're replacing Victor Bailey with Key. There you go. There's 2.
So tell us and I think you kind of just mentioned it, but you told me before we started recording you had some recruiting news that you wanted to break or that you learned.
It's not break. I'm not breaking anything. It's just, and it's not a secret. I mean,
it is to some on this show.
For these guys. Yeah, you're getting crystal balls for these guys, but I mean,
who is it? Who's
people out there
getting?
They're going to get Collins and Key. Now, if something changes and they don't want Key, there you go. But they're going to get Collins and Key.
So for
the
those that
thing
don't
was,
know,
it was Murray or Key, and clearly Murray's not a Vol.
Murray went to Georgetown. So
yeah.
So tell us,
you're going to get Key.
Tell us who Yuri Collins is and the Key kid, because I know who they are, but some listening may not.
Collins is really 6-foot guard, point guard. Will give you assists for days. Probably not going to give you that scoring that Chandler was able to produce. But on the flip side, you got Key, who can score in high numbers. Like he's a high volume guy getting a bucket. I don't know how tall Key is, honestly.
Yuri Collins, Tyreek Key, and Yuri Collins. Yuri Collins is transferring out of St. Louis. He actually entered the draft process, but I think all signs were pointing to him coming back. Once he came back, he was entering the transfer portal. He's done that. It seems to me like what you're saying and what I'm reading is it's Tennessee. Tyreek Key is another guy who I think Tennessee actually
6'3". He's 6'3". Okay. They wanted him out of high school, I think.
Yes, they did.
This is the one I'm thinking of. And then, I mean, his transfer portal crystal ball is 100% Tennessee. But, I mean, it's just somebody that said this stuff in the past that is rarely wrong. So I'm going to go with them until they're wrong.
He does turn the ball over a lot, but
yeah, but so does Collins. Collins has a lot of turnovers, but they have decently high assists. So it's like, can we break those bad habits?
Yeah, well, it's like I on the podcast that if you listen to it, the basketball specific that I recorded, Rick Barnes has a good track record with guards and getting them to change their ways or molding them into what he wants. And I think he can do that with these two guys. So we'll
definitely
see.
Can.
I mean, they should want to come here. I got a little surprised Murray went to Georgetown with as bad as they've been, but
I mean, it's all about, there's so many ins and outs. Now, the guy that you really want that who knows, and we probably won't get now that Auburn's involved, and I'm not saying Auburn can out recruit us, blah, blah, blah for every player, but the Phillips kid out of high school.
Julian Phillips, yeah.
I just think that's a bidding war at this point.
Yeah.
It's an NIL bidding war.
I think a fear, and I think Tennessee, they talked about this on Vol Basketball Fever too, and I was thinking about it too, is Brandon Huntley Hatfield, you almost don't want to see that kid have success when he leaves here because Tennessee's not had a good track record since Rick Barnes has been here with big guys, except for Kyle Alexander, Grant Williams. I guess you could throw Schofield in. Other than that, like the guys they brought in either for whatever reason, either haven't panned out or they've left early, whatever it may be. But if Brandon Huntley Hatfield goes to Auburn or Wake Forest and has a good time, that's not a good look for us. But, look at Auburn. If they get Brandon Huntley Hatfield and Julian Phillips, they're two different players, but that's two 5-star guys they've added to their roster out of the gate.
If they get both of those, then Huntley Hatfield's right in the back. Exact same situation. He ain't getting minutes. Yeah. He's not playing over that kid because he's playing the position he wants.
Yeah, the only thing about Pearl's system allows you to be a little more free, but it also, we saw it this year.
It also allows those guards to just bury their team.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what superstar you have on there.
It hurt them. That team shot themselves out of games. Why was Jabari Smith not touching the ball every time down?
Every time.
He would go 5 to 10 minutes without either he wasn't on the court or he didn't touch the basketball. Like, if I'm that team, that guy's touching the basketball every time down the court. I'd be damned with everybody else.
Yeah, we'll run the offense through this guy.
So we mentioned Tennessee had 8,183 fans at Smoky Stadium last Tuesday night against Tennessee Tech, a game they lost. Have you seen the Oakland A's attendance numbers to start the season?
I hadn't seen them until you shared them with me.
I shared them with you earlier, so yes, you have.
That sounds really awful.
So for those that are listening that haven't seen this or are not paying attention to Major League Baseball yet, Major League Baseball started a couple weeks ago. And I was I came across this today. I get emails at work about sports from the sports industry, and it talks about the financial side of sports and facility side, and then just random sports stories. And this one popped up in the email chain. It was Oakland Athletics attendance woes continue. And for those that don't know, Oakland plays in, and I guess it's a stadium that was built probably in the 60s or 70s. It's one of those cookie cutter stadiums like Old Riverfront, Fulton County Stadium, Veteran Stadium, Shea Stadium, all those. Let's see, Three Rivers was another one. Those cookie cutter stadiums that were multi-purpose football, baseball. The Raiders played there. That's why the Raiders are not in Oakland anymore. They're in Las Vegas because Oakland could not figure out how to build them a stadium. Well, the A's want a new stadium. I was telling you before we started recording, I was reading that City Council in Oakland has, I think, either voting on either this week or early next week some impact studies on what a stadium would look like. So that's like hurdle number one. But it seems to me that Oakland has a roster that they're not paying a whole lot for. It's like really, I don't know the whole total payroll that they've got, but it's Moneyball, but it's worse than, I mean, it's a modern day, real life Major League, the movie story, where if you're not familiar with that movie, please go watch it.
Please watch it.
The owner, there's a new owner of the Indians. Her husband passed away. She inherited the team. She is wanting to move the team to Miami, and they're in an old stadium there in Cleveland, Cleveland Municipal Stadium. She's letting it fall apart. She tanks her team because she thinks if she can get attendance low enough, it'll trigger something in the lease of the stadium where she can up and move the team. And it was starting to work until the team found out about it, and they put a cardboard cutout of her, and every time they won a game, they pulled it off till she was completely nude, and they ended up, I've always wondered in that movie how far they went after they won that playoff game against the Yankees.
It's leaving it up to you.
I mean, I guess it was like,
just imagine. It
was probably like I don't know if it was the last game of the season. I think they had to go play an extra game because they were tied. Because back when that movie was made, I think there was only 3 divisions. There was the East, Central, and West. Now you've got the NL East, the Central, the West. So I mean, you've got there's 3 divisions in each. Is that right? What am I thinking here? Anyway,
I think you're right.
There was just the East and the West. There was just the East and the West back then. I think. I can't remember. Anyways,
it was different.
it was different. I need my baseball expert, Coach Bray here. But I was looking.
Central West is what we got of the American, and then East, Central, West.
Yeah, that's
national.
Because there's 3 division winners, and then there's 3 or 4 wild cards now.
Yeah, I think
So back to my original story here. This past Tuesday, the A's hosted the Baltimore Orioles, who are also terrible. The announced attendance of this game was 3,748. It was the lowest since 1980. The stat was short-lived, though, as Wednesday saw a new low of 2,703. It says here, to top it all off, the A's picked up a 1-0 loss against the Orioles with a lone run coming in the 5th inning. It says here, excluding games with attendance restrictions as part of COVID-19, the A's haven't had a smaller crowd since 2,443 that showed up against the game against the Texas Rangers on September 9th, 1980. They said a lot of it here too. The attendance numbers Wednesday were likely to do with the game being pushed up 3.5 hours due to a forecast of heavy rain. They said same thing on Thursday. It says Oakland Coliseum, or whatever it's called now. I can't remember the name. It's one of the oldest venues in MLB. Fan ticket prices aren't an issue. It says you can get them there for $10. Their opening day attendance was 17,503. Seating capacity of the park is listed at 46,000. It's a big stadium for a baseball stadium, but It's bad. I mean, think about that. Tennessee had 8,183 at Smoky Stadium for a game. They can't get 3,000 people to show up for a Major League Baseball game
in a massive city. That's
wild. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know that Oakland. That's going to be tough. Oakland loses both of their, and Oakland's a kind of a rough, gritty town. San Francisco's right across the bay with a bunch of hippies in it, and that's where the Warriors moved out of Oakland and went to San Francisco. The Raiders moved to Las Vegas, and if they lose this team, that's going to be tough for Oakland. And there's Nashville's talked about, as they've been very open, that they want any team they can get. It doesn't have to be expansion. It can be anybody. They'll take anything, they said. But Nashville's been very open about wanting a Major League Baseball team. Nashville's also, and we'll talk about this later on, not this week, but on a later episode, they're going to build a new football stadium.
Yes.
And
hallelujah.
They want which I like where they play now, Nissan Stadium.
No, I like the location.
But that town's outgrown that stadium. Yeah,
it's not good anymore for that town.
That is Nashville has turned into kind of Atlanta. It's a town where you can host big events. I mean, you can host a Super Bowl there. You can host a Final Four there. You can host a college football playoff game or a national championship game. You can host those things there, but they're not going to do it in Nissan Stadium.
No, not at all. They're going to have to go dome. They're going to have to,
or at least
make it.
I mean, they at least they're going to have to build a new stadium. I mean, they wanted to pump like $600 million into that stadium, which is fine to upgrade it because it take a whole lot. But you walk around that stadium, and
they need a new one. It is always kind of a cookie cutter to me.
Bank of America is a little bit like that over in Charlotte. I mean, it's a nice stadium too, but there's talk in Charlotte that they want to move more toward the South Carolina line and build a stadium.
That would be
to be the true Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
But their stadium's Carolina Stadium's in a perfect spot. It's right in the middle of downtown with stuff.
It's a really good spot. It is a really good spot for them. The Titans, it's in an okay spot.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it's not bad, but I mean,
you
they could have a better location.
You got to walk a little bit to get to downtown, but it's not that bad. I mean,
it's not terrible. I think the stadium aesthetics could be better, I guess.
Yeah. But it's built in the late 90s, so it's
I mean, it definitely has that vibe.
It's over 20 years old. And
give me a new one. Give me the dome like in Georgia. That thing's amazing.
I would say they could give that stadium to Vanderbilt, but they'd have to tear down every section of the stadium except maybe just one side.
They
still wouldn't fill that up. They would just need to fill with some bleachers on the side. Be like soccer fields at Frank Lorino Park in Morristown.
Oh man, it's so bad.
Well, that's all we've got for this week's show. You got any other thoughts before we close this puppy out?
Nope, didn't have any in there.
Well, it was good to have Big Montana to stop by for a few minutes. Special guest. Hopefully he'll be back full-time next week. There was a story I wanted to talk to him about the Atlanta Braves, but we'll get to that with him next week. And there was another story. I needed him and Gavin here for this one. I was at lunch today, and there was a domestic dispute on the street that I was able to record. But I want to discuss that with everybody here and play that. So we'll hold that off for another time. But I've got the video safely secured. So it was interesting. It was at a CAT bus stop, CAKAT.
Gotta love CAT bus stops.
But we'll get Big Montana back on here. Gavin was trying his best to get here tonight. He got stuck somewhere and couldn't get on here. Hopefully he'll be back soon. I've heard from a lot of people that keep asking, where's Gavin?
Gavin's stuck in Sorrowville.
I can't believe that he has really not come back on since that Michigan
Embrace
loss.
The baseball, Gavin. Come on.
Gavin, he's working too hard. He needs to relax.
Yeah, 4 weeks and I'm off work. Woo!
So that's this week's show. I appreciate everybody listening. Like I said earlier in the show, we did a basketball specific podcast. The Vol Basketball Fever and Section YY8 collaborated to do one. Check that out. That'll be released after this one. I am working on a YouTube channel to upload the podcast video to YouTube, so stay tuned for that. I'll have more info on. I'm trying to test that out right now, so hopefully have that soon. This one will be on there whenever I get it ready.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
You should pick a different one when I get my setup right.
No, this is even better.
Yeah.
I like the up angle towards you.
The up angle, it's odd. I got a way better setup.
You'll get it figured out. We got to get
it's figured out. I got a kid's YouTube channel. I'm gonna drop his line when we get rolling.
I heard that. If you want to listen to this episode or the basketball episode or any other past episodes, you can find us on Listen Notes, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. Still trying to figure out how to get us on Spotify. I got to figure that out. I hadn't really tried, to be honest.
You
but
need to figure out Spotify because you don't have to download the podcast.
We're almost on every platform you can get. So we're working on it. We had CNN Plus top ratings. And if you haven't seen, CNN Plus has been on the air for like 2 weeks. And then in 2 weeks, they're going off the air. They've just decided to cancel. CNN spent $300 million to get CNN Plus going and spent $100 million in nationwide advertising, and no one watches it. And they are going off the air at the end of the month. Section YY8, I think. I haven't looked.
Got more watchers than that.
I haven't looked in the last couple of weeks, but our ratings last week were terrible. So we are in CNN Plus territory right now. But there are people that we didn't record last week and they were disappointed we didn't record. So this show's for you guys.
Hey, we got kids playing T-ball.
I was tough. Busy. I
testing at school.
It's
my butt.
We went to the Tennessee game last Tuesday. I had a game Wednesday.
The Vols rolling.
I'm announcing Carter softball and Carter baseball, and they play seemingly every night of the week. It feels like this week. They did not play Monday. They did not play Tuesday. I had a game tonight, and I've got a game tomorrow night. This is the first week where I've not had 3+ games in a week in about a month. So it was nice to have a little bit of a downtime this week, but next week it picks right back up again. I got about 2 or 3 weeks left of that, and then
tis the season.
But it's springtime. It's time to get outside and enjoy the weather.
I'll be doing a podcast on the beach in Hawaii in my swim trunks.
We'll have to get you to call in.
Do a special guest call in.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely do that. Well, I appreciate everybody listening, and I don't know if we'll be back next week. Hopefully we are, if our schedules work out. If we are, great. If not, we'll see you next time on the Section YY8 podcast.
Well, it's late at night on this old turnpike, and my head's spinning round and around. It's a long, long way from New York to Texas. I've been through a million towns. Well, let's get off the bus and get on the stage, the band and the boys and me. Take me to Alabama, Mississippi, Montana. They don't want me back in Tennessee. Tennessee, how could you do this to me? I gave you some of the best of my days. Ain't no reason for me to stay. Tennessee, you took the life out of me. What little money I made, I either drank it up or I gave it away.